Hi, welcome or welcome back to Books and Bocadillos. My name is Maria Andrea, and this is my weekend review video. In this video, I am capturing the week of December 9th through December 15th. I had to look at the calendar to get those dates right. I am drinking iced sparkling water with this peppermint straw because it is hot in South Texas, and this is as festive as I'm gonna get. It's just not cold enough for hot drinks and cozy mugs and cute little Christmas mugs. Let's just start out with highs and lows. So the high of last week was definitely the weekend, and the weekend can be summed up as fun with friends. From having a nice, just fun Friday evening with a friend, drinking coffee at our favorite little local coffee shop, discovering a new magical little plant store in the downtown area of the city we were in, and doing a little bit of Christmas shopping, finding a new plant for my houseplants collection family. And then Saturday had some non-profit work. Oh, well, Friday night we also went to an art exhibit, like a local artist art exhibit, and it was great to support an artist friend. Then Saturday we had some nonprofit. I had an event with the nonprofit that I am a part of, and then Sunday we went and saw a play. We saw Little Shop of Horrors at our local university theater program, and it was such a great production. I loved it. I had never heard of Little Shop of Horrors. My husband says he watched the movie when he was younger. I had never heard of it. I have the music, the little tune stuck in my head. I loved it so much. I thought it was great, very entertaining. And then afterwards, I had supper club with my friend, and she's also a vegan. So I made mushroom menudo, and she made vegan tamales. No, she didn't make them. She ordered them. She brought vegan tamales, and she made a vegan eggnog, and that was our meal, and it was really delicious. So those are the highs. Maybe the low is the weather. Maybe the low is that it's very warm. It reminds me of spring, and I can't enjoy a hot chocolate because it's just not hot chocolate weather. So it's just a little warmer in South Texas than in other places. So that's it. For community posts, I posted about my 2025 Books and Bocadillos book club selections for 2025, the book selections for 2025. And those I've arranged them like kind of like a bingo card layout month by month, just to give you a visual reference if you need to check and see what we're reading what month. If you'd like to join the book club, you're more than welcome. I also created a Discord, and I'll link that in the description. The description box. You're more than welcome to join on Discord as well. I'll try to just kind of balance the review videos and discussions on YouTube with the Discord. And the book club, I have an announcement video. I'll put in a card. And it's basically a book club in which we are reading Latinx, Latino owned voices, stories, and celebrating Latinx, Latina authors. Tags. I don't think I did any tags last week. Now let's talk about the books. What did I read? I actually didn't finish anything last week, but I forgot to mention a book that I'd read last week during my weekend review. So this book I read 2 weeks ago. I forgot to mention it last week, so I'm going to talk about it today. And that is Finding Latinx by Paola Ramos. If that name sounds familiar, it's because I raved about this book. I read Defectors by Paola Ramos in late October, early November before the election. It was a comfort read to get me through the political anxiety that I was going through. And I was really, really glad I read it. I raved about this. I had loaned it out. I am wanting to do a review video. A couple of people asked me for a review. I have a posted review on my Goodreads, but I will do one here for you, the BookTube community. I had loaned this book out and it just came back to me last week. So, while Defectors was out and about getting read by someone else, I really wanted to check out Finding Latinx by Paola Ramos. That was her, I think, her debut. And in Finding Latinx, Paola Ramos, an American journalist of Mexican and Cuban descent, talks about the intersections of the term Latinx. As you can hear, she herself is like a Mexican and Cuban descent. She's also queer. She's a lesbian. She has different identities that different intersections to her identity, and the term Latinx embraces and celebrates those intersections. So for her, the term Latinx is the most representative term to capture the intersections of our experiences. So she makes an argument for why everyone across generations, she even mentions, she talks to her grandfather about why her grandfather should embrace the term Latinx. She talks about the history of the term Latinx and its reference to the Latin American indigenous nations and how that influenced the term Latinx, with the X at the end is from the actual language, indigenous languages. So it did feel like it embraced the indigenous culture aspect of our identities, but also the X, like the intersections, our intersectionalities as people. So, and how we're also diverse and different and have different stories. So at the end, I did see her point, and I did feel like I could finally see how Latinx. I did see her side, her view of how Latinx is possibly the most inclusive and progressive, like owning your full identity. Like it did feel like that term helps people own their fullness, their full identity. So that was really neat. It was really, really cool. I really enjoy her writing, and I am looking forward to reading anything else that she publishes, anything else that she's researching. I'm definitely really interested in her perspectives, because I find that she is very clear-eyed about her questions and her curiosity, and I love that in her books. Current reads. So I'm currently reading Season of the Swamp by Yuri Herrera. I'd mentioned that I was having a bit of a difficult time with the language and finding that it didn't really feel like it matched, and I was wondering about the translation. Aaron, a friend here on BookTube, suggested that I check out the Spanish. So I'm going to be trying to get that copy to kind of go back and forth and see the differences between the translation and the original Spanish text. So I'm probably going to take a little longer with that one. And that one might carry over into January. I am really into Beartown. I'm still reading it. I'm not done with it, but I am really finding my groove with it now. At first it felt a little bit like there's a lot going on, so I was trying to figure things out. But now I think I'm in just a really cool groove with Beartown, and I'm really enjoying it. I love the characters. I think Fredrik Backman is a really great writer. So yeah, I'm going to continue with Beartown. Hopefully I'll have that one done by the end of the year. I am also reading Guilt and Ginataan by Mia P. Manansala. I read this one every once in a while, sometimes during my lunch break. This was one that I took with me in my purse today, and so it's one that I read during the lunch hour, and I have different bags and different books in different bags, so it just depends on the book bag, the tote or the purse that I'm carrying, and what book gets taken. I don't know. I guess that makes me a dabbler and a bit of a messy reader with books in every purse and look at the draw what's it going to be in my bag. I'm also rereading my Antonia with Melinda out of Stories and others on her Discord. I'm also reading Les Miserables with Melinda out of Stories and others on her Discord. My Antonia I will finish in the next couple of weeks, I think, and Les Mis I'm probably going to finish by the end of the year. I started The Old Nurse's Story by Elizabeth Gaskell, and I haven't finished it, and this is for the Ghosts of Christmas Past reading event that is hosted by Then a Revenant Reader. And I am reading the Book of Werewolves by Sabine Baring-Gould. And this is for Guadalupe Reinas. The challenge or the prompt for this reading event with Guadalupe Reinas is Destino Mónica. And this is written by a female author of the 19th century. So I chose Sabine Baring-Gould's The Book of Werewolves. I DNF'd, but I think it's a soft DNF. I mean, I picked it up because my really, really good friend recommended, said I need to read this book ASAP, and she really wanted to talk about it. So I picked it up, and I got it through Spotify. Well, I was about an hour from finishing the book, and the Spotify told me I was out of time. Like, I have to wait until next month to have more time. But at this point, I had an hour left of listening time. I was listening to the audiobook read by the author. And I just don't know. I think maybe what else can I be missing in an hour? It's a memoir. And this is For Brown Girls, The Sharp Edges and Tender Hearts by Prisca Dorcas Mojica Rodriguez. And she is Nicaraguense. And she talks about it was a good book to read along with Finding Latinx, or like back to back with Finding Latinx, because she's also talking about what it means to be, she says, Latinx, so Latinx, and the different intersections, and she's kind of telling her story. It's like she's written a letter to herself and allowed other women of color to read it. This book is for the author, and it is for women of color who might find connection with her. And I think that this book feels very real and raw, and it's like she's bearing her soul. And I think that sometimes when people are real and raw and bare their soul, it's difficult to receive. So this is not a book that I would recommend to like across the board. Like I would not really buy this book as a gift for anybody. Because like I said, I think it's kind of like an open letter to herself through which the author is creating like a manifesto and saying like, this is my story, and hoping that others would see themselves in parts of her story and would feel connected or would feel seen or heard. And I just don't think it's for everybody, even amongst women of color. Like I could see how some people I know would really appreciate the book, and I think others whom I know were women of color wouldn't. And it's not like a good or bad thing. It's not a black and white thing. It's just there's just a lot of gray and raw and real and um, raw and real and heavy and complicated. It's just not everybody's vibe. So I found myself kind of like I could relate in some parts, and then I felt disconnected from the author and their experiences. So it just goes to show that it's just we tell our stories, and we all have different ways of telling those stories, and every story is going to be different, and every story is going to be told and received differently. And so as I'm talking about it, I'm thinking maybe I should just finish that last hour once I have more audio time on Spotify, or maybe I could go and see if my public library has a copy just so that I could read the final chapters. I think I had like 2 chapters left. So I think it was 2 chapters, and then there's like an epilogue or something like that. I remember there being like a few little audio chapters, but it sounded like it was just a couple of chapters and like an epilogue or like thanks or something, acknowledgements. So those are the books. In terms of community, I am reading Las Viudas de los Jueves. I didn't mention it. I started the Las Viudas de los Jueves on audiobook. It's a story that is told in multiple perspectives, and it's about a country club and the families who live in this country club, and it's kind of going back and forth in time and perspectives, and the audiobook doesn't really land itself really great. I think that there's gaps in my understanding. Meanwhile, this is for the Piñeiro Project. So meanwhile, my friends on the Piñeiro Project Boxer thread are talking about it, and I'm needing to catch up. So my book came in late. I just received it this weekend on Saturday, so I'm going to try to read the first section again to just fill in the gaps, make sure I understand what's happening correctly before I put out any thoughts into the Voxer group. And so before I share any thoughts with you, I'm going to just finish and my reading and get my perspectives cleared and talk things over with the Voxer group. So that's that. Ghosts of Christmas Past. I am participating in that, and I started the Old Nurses story, and I haven't finished it. And I mentioned that is hosted by Vin at Revenant Reader, and I mentioned that I'm in 2 reading activities with Melinda at Web Stories, and that's Les Miserables and my Antonia. I'm also participating in the Guadalupe Reinas reading event. I actually did. I posted a short about that this week, and I laid out my TBR for Guadalupe Reinas. there are 10 prompts. So for prompt number 1, which was the lectura conjunta de libros before tipos, so this is the group read, I chose 38 estrellas de Josefina Lisitra. I have not started this one yet. Prompt number 2, libro de autora palestina, a book written by a Palestinian or an author of Palestinian descent, and I chose Sangre en el Ojo by Lina Meruane. Book number 3, Temática Deportiva, a book about with themes, sports themes. I chose We Ride Upon Sticks by Quanberry. I haven't started it. Have it on audio. I have it queued on audio. Prompt number 4, Libro Decimonónico, a book written by a woman, a female author, between 1800 and 1899. And I chose the book of Werewolves by Sabine Baring-Gould, which I'm currently in the middle of. Prompt number 5, Lectura sobre la lectura, a book about reading. I chose How to Read Now by Elaine Castillo, and I have this on audio and Kindle, so I'm going to be starting that hopefully soon. And number 6, a fanzine. I ordered one online and I'm waiting for it to get in the mail. This was a really interesting prompt, and I'm still open to suggestions. I ordered one. I don't know if it's going to be like what I'm looking for, what I'm hoping it's going to be, but if you have any fanzine recommendations, please leave them in the description or in the comments. Number 7, Libro Prestado, a borrowed book. I don't remember what I decided on. I decided for this one. Question number 8, recomendación de una mediadora de lectura o creadora de contenido. So it's a recommendation by another content creator or influencer or a book club. I chose Las Viudas de los Jueves. And this is one that I'm influenced to read by the Piñeiro Project. So that's and I actually started it, but I'm going to be rereading the first part of it, the first 9 chapters. And then number 9 was Libro sobre Esperanza Ambiental. This is a book about the environment and hope for the environment. And I chose the new Robin Wall Kimmerer book, Serviceberry. And I have not started it, but I do have it. And number 10 is Comodín. So Comodín is like a wild or free prompt. And I was thinking about it. I have a couple of options, but we'll see which one I go with. I'm not going to recommend a podcast today because I have been listening to a lot of audiobooks. I'm listening to Les Mis on audiobook. I'm listening to Beartown on audio. So between those two, mostly, I'm dedicating my time, my audiobook time to those two, like my listening time to those two. And then lastly, recipe. I don't know. I have the menudo recipe, but I don't know that anybody that watches my videos wants a menudo recipe. So I figured I'm going to share a recipe that I'm looking at. I haven't done this yet, but I'm planning to do this recipe for the holidays, and I thought I'd share with you. And that is, I love making ice cream. So I'm making cookies and nog ice cream. This is from Incredible Vegan Ice Cream by Dina Jalal. And the description here says, eggnog is a time-honored holiday drink that I've always loved the idea of, but never made. Traditionally composed of heavy cream and raw egg, it is intimidating to make and even more intimidating to drink. This recipe takes all of the deliciously festive elements of eggnog and turns them into a simple egg-free scoop. The addition of homemade vanilla shortbread adds flavor, texture, and composition. Feel free to omit the alcohol if you are steering clear, but it won't taste as traditional. New you can toast to a new holiday dessert. So this calls for coconut milk, cane sugar, brown sugar, agave, whiskey or bourbon, nutmeg, sea salt, and vanilla shortbread. So I'm hoping to make this for the holidays. And I've had a lot of like eggnog experiences lately. My friend brought eggnog for supper club, and then previously, like at the last vegan market, or the last supper club, she brought coquito, the Puerto Rican version of eggnog. So I'm probably gonna do this cookies and eggnog ice cream recipe. And that is it for my weekend review. I am going to be filming a tag next, so I will talk to you again soon. Hasta la próxima.